problems. That guy, he just has to touch you once.
Shit's going down.
He's so different than anybody else in the division. Like, he knocks everybody out. Everybody hits hard. They all hit hard.
But that
dude hits hard.
You want to go? Robert. Oh, sorry, when you done.
Yeah, so them ones with the eye, Robert. Okay.
Yeah.
We send it.
Answer. Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. First. Jack Paul, it's sportsman, YouTuber, showman. Rolls Royce, Fiat.
Joe Rogan is known for speaking his mind, and his recent reaction to Anthony Joshua sparring with Oleksander Usyk ahead of Jake Paul's fight has stunned the combat sports community. On his podcast, Rogan broke down the unusual and eye-catching situation, openly questioning why two of the world's top heavyweight boxers would take part in training connected to a hype-focused event built around Jake Paul rather than a traditional elite boxing matchup. Mixing doubt, respect, and his signature straight-talking analysis, Rogan has sparked major discussion among fans, who are now wondering what this unexpected training partnership could signal, not only for Jake Paul's future, but for the direction of boxing as a whole.
Chance that Anthony Joshua is not going to just lose the weight beforehand. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry.
Instead of staying in the UK with his usual team led by Ben Davison, Joshua revealed at a recent press conference that he would prepare for the December 19th fight in Miami by training alongside members of Usyk's camp. He called the experience exceptional and demanding, praising the strength and track record of Usyk's team, while making it clear that Usyk himself was not sparring with him on a daily basis.
To find the belief in yourself, not in somebody else's system. You know what I mean? It's like Usyk's team might show him bits and bats of stuff. He doesn't box like Usyk. Can they train AJ to be similar to what Usyk's doing? AJ, you've got to pick out the best of what AJ does, and you've got to pick out the worst and improve the worst in him. And I'll say it time and time again. For me, the best trainer he ever had was Robert McCracken. It might not be what people want to hear, but he had him from the stages in the amateurs, from being a young mind, brought him through, guided. He had a good view of what the competition was out there, where to put him, you know, where to manoeuvre him, when to take fights, when not to take fights. And he'd invested a lot of time in him, Robert McCracken. So it was a payoff. Now when you go to, you know, if AJ came here or he goes to Ben Davison, or you're going to be in for a big payday as a trainer, it's a lot of responsibility to take on. You know, Ben Davis is a good trainer. He's trained AJ for so many fights, brought him back. He'll have got paid handsomely. Everybody wants to train AJ because it's a good payday. So, but sometimes you have to think to yourself, are you capable of training that fighter? You know, people have come to me wanting me to train. I said, to be honest, we're not going to match. You know, what I want to do and what I want you to do is not going to work. So I just think AJ is looking for that secret ingredient.
Training alongside experienced members of Usyk's camp, Anthony Joshua is working intensely to sharpen every part of his game, both offensively and defensively. Those close to the sessions note his non-stop commitment to improvement, as he carefully refines his footwork, improves his timing, and cleans up his punch combinations. His approach is focused but adaptable, allowing him to experiment with different techniques while staying within a well-structured training system. The camp also supplies high-level sparring partners who closely recreate real fight scenarios, forcing Joshua to stay alert, sharp, and disciplined. As the fight date continues to approach, each session takes on greater importance, helping him strengthen not only his physical conditioning but also his mental toughness. Overall, this training phase reflects Joshua's clear understanding that elite boxing success depends on detailed preparation, smart adjustments, and constant tactical development.
I think he's at that stage of his career where he's trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Oleksander Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, Paul, isn't it?
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do little bits together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm travelling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth, and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine, where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously, after the Usyk fight, he's come back and he had 3 fights, and then the Ngannou demolition
Well,
job.
yeah, Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helenius, he had Otto Wally, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the box rec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where what you've just said then, Spencer, like match him right. I felt he was match right with Dubois. That's just my opinion.
Just felt
obviously I was wrong on that, and I was proved wrong. But I felt like Joshua would have and should have came through that, but he obviously didn't. So therefore, it's back to the drawing board. And where do you go from there? What do you do from there? Does he keep the same team around him? Does he go and find someone new and try and adapt and add to his repertoire already? And this move at Usyk, I don't know what it'll be, but if he's fighting before Christmas, then he needs to get in shape quick, because there's only 8 weeks to go, let's say.
Well, my understanding, he's in camp, he's in shape, and just looking to getting out and get back to winning ways is my understanding. That's why they're talking about 8 rounders.
Yeah.
He wants to sort of go under the radar a little bit, and it's difficult for someone like Anthony Joshua because he's such
Very
a
much so.
commercial commodity.
He's always been in shape all the time, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He always will be in shape. He's never, ever not been...
But it's not about his
dedicated.
physical shape, is it? No one's ever questioned his physical state. Zach, when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and I know that the president of his fan club is here in Spencer, but I talked about the PTSD issue post various fights, whether it be the Alexander Usyk or the Daniel Dubois situation. But prior to Daniel Dubois, I always maintained that I felt that despite the performance against Jermaine Franklin, despite the performance against Robert Helenius, which had been blocked.
While Joshua is not sparring Usyk on a regular basis, he has fully immersed himself in the Ukrainian champion's training environment, working closely with top-level coaches who played a key role in Usyk becoming a 2-time undisputed champion and absorbing knowledge from their elite boxing system. Joshua has explained that this experience offers valuable insight into the mindset and methods of someone who has achieved so much in the sport, calling it an important step in refining his skills and preparation for the unique challenge presented by Jake Paul.
That camp just for Jake Paul, because he could have gone to fucking my camp to beat Jake Paul.
AJ's been in camp with Usyk.
Taking it seriously for it to get fucked off at the final minute.
What better camp to go join than the master himself?
What he's doing is he knows that he's got, 1, maybe 2 years left, maybe 2 years. So he's gone to the Usyk camp. There's motivation behind that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You're not going to that camp just for Jake Paul, because he could have gone to fucking my camp to beat Jake Paul. But he's going to that camp for the future of next year, where he could be fighting Dubois, could be fighting.
Conor McGregor has shared a blunt and cautious take on the potential Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, warning that the matchup is extremely dangerous and, in his opinion, may not even be a good idea to make. He pointed out that Joshua is a powerful former world champion with real experience, saying anyone who steps into the ring deserves respect, while also highlighting the serious physical risks Paul would face. Even with his doubts, McGregor said he would respect Paul if he fully commits to the challenge, though he still questions whether a crossover fight of this scale truly makes sense from a sporting perspective.
He's gonna get knocked out by AJ though, isn't he?
If he makes that walk, gotta give him his respect with that. It's very dangerous, you know. It seems like Netflix are all over him. So again, it's a dangerous sport, and you can't overlook that. And Joshua's a big boy and a powerhouse. I've sat ringside and watched Joshua. That's a heavy punching man, and he's you think he's a happy and he's a good kid. He has an anger in him. He has a darkness in him, does Anthony Joshua. And I don't think a lot of people trust that. So the fight shouldn't go ahead. In my opinion, the fight shouldn't go ahead. However, if he does.
UFC President Dana White has issued a sharp critique of the highly anticipated Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight, calling it a mismatch that threatens the integrity of professional boxing. Never one to avoid controversy, White questioned the logic of putting a seasoned former heavyweight world champion in the ring with a YouTube star turned boxer, sparking heated debates across social media. Fans are divided, with some seeing it as a smart marketing move and others viewing it as a spectacle that undermines the sport. White argued that Joshua taking on Paul doesn't make sense for boxing and could set a dangerous precedent where fame and clicks overshadow real skill and experience. While acknowledging that celebrity fights can generate huge pay-per-view revenue, he warned that they risk turning boxing into entertainment rather than a true test of athletic ability and tactical mastery.
that will be saying to him, mate, Anthony hasn't boxed for a year and a half. Mate, Anthony got dropped in his last fight. Anthony's head's all over the place. He's gone. So listen, fair fucking play. If he steps up and fights AJ, I will be the first to hold my hands up and go, fair fucking play. He'd have to be crazy to do it. He would have to be crazy to do it. Jake Paul's never really fought anyone major, like, you know, when's he going to step up and fight a real fighter? I mean, this would definitely be one way to kill that narrative, but it would be a dangerous one. If we're offered it, and the money that I know is inevitable in a fight like that, it would be very difficult for us to turn it down. And I know some people will find a reason to not like it and moan, but I'm just going to give it to you straight always. We were going to have a run out this year in an 8-rounder against someone in the top, I don't know, 120 on BoxRec that you've never heard of. We could have a run out against Jake Paul, end him in boxing forever, get rid of this whole little silly thing, and make about 50 or 60x in the process. How can you turn it down? So if it's real, there is a chance. Jake's won fights that I didn't think he'd win. And Jake has got a lot better over the last couple of years. He ain't in Anthony Joshua's league, that's for sure. The only way this fight happens, if it's a fight, it's a sanctioned fight. I mean, ultimately, it's a cruiserweight stepping up to fight a heavyweight. I mean, previously, what did you have? You had a lightweight fighting a cruiserweight, but that was an exhibition. This is no exhibition. This is the 10-ounce big boys, and this is a real fight. We've already really got our plans with Turki Al-Sheikh for 2026, which is ultimately to fight Tyson Fury, but also to have another fight in February. We got the phone call to say, look, obviously Gervonta's out. Would you be interested in December? And the only other options we had for December was to do an 8-rounder on a card somewhere, which I didn't even know was going to happen. So I said to Nikisa, if you're truthful about this, which he assures me Jake is, then it could happen. So let's live in the real world, yeah? And let's just, everybody stay calm and make logical business decisions. What would you do, right? And please don't give me the, yes, but you have to think about the legacy here. You can't eat legacy, and legacy is so important. By the way, he's an Olympic gold medalist, a 2-time world heavyweight champion. The legacy's okay. I wouldn't let him not take this fight. I would push him in the ring to take this fight. So if you want to blame someone, blame me. Just relax. One, I don't even know if it's going to happen. Two, if it does, just relax. Enjoy us going in there for boxing and sticking one on his chin. We'll go back, we'll fight Tyson Fury, etc. So just relax. But how can you say...
Professional boxer Liam Cameron weighed in on public expectations for the fight, pointing out that most fans expect Joshua to dominate due to his Olympic background and pro experience. He also noted that some spectators might even enjoy a one-sided contest, anticipating moments that highlight the skill gap. This perception, however, puts extra pressure on Paul to show adaptability, resilience, and entertaining performance. Cameron emphasized that audience mindset heavily influences crossover boxing events, affecting both how they are promoted and how fighters approach their strategy and performance in the ring.
Like Jake Paul, AJ's going to do you a favour because he's going to flatten him. But big props to that Jake Paul for getting it ring with him. Listen to this, he's a multi-millionaire. Multi-millionaire. You don't have to box. And he's fighting him. He's either a madman or he knows something we don't know. But people like saying, oh, I won't take this Jake Paul fight. Listen, every boxer on the planet would fight Jake Paul. For money. I'd fight Anthony Joshua for money. I'd get flattened, but I'd fight him. So yeah, I think people sometimes have to watch what they say and think about it.
Boxing analyst Joey Knight offered a pointed warning about Jake Paul's motivations and what the fight might produce. He suggested that Paul is driven more by attention and viral moments than by traditional professional goals. While this doesn't mean Paul isn't preparing or taking it seriously, it frames the bout as part of entertainment-focused boxing. Knight highlighted the contrast between the fighters. Joshua is centered on technical skill and legacy, while Paul aims for exposure and fan engagement. This difference makes outcomes harder to predict and adds extra layers to the story surrounding the matchup.
A lot of cash, maybe not as much as the Anthony Joshua fight, but a lot of cash, and can still have a serious chance of going on to earn even more paydays. Whereas the damage that it could do to his body could be irreversible for that opportunity to earn money in a boxing career going forward. So is this the retirement bag Or do you actually think you can win? Because I read a study recently, and I believe it said something along the lines of men overemphasize or overcalculate their ability to fight by about 500 times. And I'm saying Jake Paul would probably need to be 500 times better to stand a chance against Anthony Joshua. And I can't get how he doesn't already know this. Surely he has sparred with heavyweights. Surely the recent sparring that he had with the likes of Shakur Stevenson and with the likes of Ray Ford, amongst others, Badu Jack, surely that would have taught you that there are levels to boxing. And if these small guys are able to show you things that you had no idea that you were vulnerable to in a boxing ring, what happens when someone who hits 4, 5, 6 times as hard as that does the exact same thing to you and lands it on your chin? The whole reason of why I know where I am in the influencer boxing scene, in the misfit scene, is because of the level that I have sparred at. I've sparred boys that have gone on to box for world titles. I've sparred with English champions, and I've sparred...
Legendary ring announcer Michael Buffer has highlighted the significant influence Jake and Logan Paul have had on modern boxing, particularly in drawing younger audiences and reigniting interest in the sport. He noted that their involvement in high-profile fights has brought a level of energy and excitement that traditional boxing hasn't seen in years, reaching fans who might otherwise not engage with the sport. While some purists question the legitimacy of crossover bouts, Buffer emphasized that the Paul brothers' ability to generate hype, build engaging storylines, and attract mainstream attention is undeniable. Their presence has expanded boxing's overall fan base and increased media coverage, giving established athletes a broader platform to connect with a wider demographic. Buffer sees this as a positive development, showing that dynamic promotion and exciting matchups can grow the sport while still respecting its skill, tradition, and competitive essence.
First of all, are fantastic athletes. You know what Logan does with the WWE and what Jake does with boxing, he knocks people out and everything. And they both have massive fan bases. And for me, it's great to see people get young people that follow them that didn't have they don't remember Ali or Joe Frazier or whatever. It's not in their wheelhouse. So it's great to see them developing fight fans and a big fight atmosphere. So it's very exciting.
These two stood face to face, and the comment section on the internet was going crazy. They were like, call the ambulance now, basically. Like Anthony Joshua looks dangerous standing next to him.
Anthony Joshua is, at this time, and has been for years, the biggest puncher in boxing. He's a devastating puncher. So I got to give Jake a lot of credit for wanting to take this fight.
Yeah, it's not. A lot of people saying it's not smart. If he somehow was able to surprise the world, what does this do for him?
The word would be surprised if he shocked the world. But that's exactly why you got to give him credit. He wants to do it. He trains hard, he works hard, and he has a lot of faith in himself. So we'll see what happens.
Technically, though, what's the biggest concern for you? What's the biggest tip you could give Jake, knowing that you've watched Anthony so many times dominate?
Many fans are excited to see Anthony Joshua take on Jake Paul, mostly because they expect Joshua to dominate and put Paul in his place. Paul's habit of calling out top fighters and claiming he's better has made him one of the most divisive figures in combat sports. For many, his confidence in facing Joshua seems unrealistic given the huge differences in experience, skill, and physical size. Despite this, the matchup has drawn enormous attention, and Paul has insisted that the fight will happen, expressing confidence that he has a strategy to secure a win. Paul has openly welcomed the challenge of facing a two-time heavyweight world champion, insisting he isn't fazed by Joshua's size or power. He plans to rely on his speed, movement, and boxing intelligence to outmaneuver and outbox the bigger fighter throughout the match. Paul has even predicted a knockout around the 5th or 6th round, confident he can dodge Joshua's heavy shots and take advantage as the fight unfolds. He's trained seriously, sparring with strong opponents to prepare and build confidence ahead of what could be the biggest fight of his career.
Entertainment purposes, and I can do a little bit of everything. So I can be the heel, the villain, I could be a jackass, I could shit talk, I could be investor, businessman, CEO, boxer, whatever it is. You know the drill. The current state of modern entertainment, you got to do it all. You got to play across the board and be good at all these things. But, you know, I've been in this game for, 12, 13 years now, and I've seen a lot of people fall by the wayside. But me and my brother have just worked hard and been super calculated and know what we're doing in this space.
I think the work ethic is obviously absurd, and you guys are a couple of Ohio fucks at your core, so we have massive respect for that. But obviously talent and having to understand where the world is going is a forethought that not a lot of people have in history. You're a trailblazer, you know that. Now let's get to your boxing career. You've been very, very, very upfront about how you want to be a world champion. You focus your entire life to boxing, it seems. We've seen you in other eras and chapters of your life where you're doing a lot of things. Then you turned your focus fully to boxing. You said boxing saved your life. You fell in love with it. Now you're taking on a guy who has done the same thing with boxing for most of his life. He has loved it. He has invested in it. He has fought the greats. He's been in the biggest fights. He's been champion. I think a lot of us were very surprised that this would be happening. How do you feel just a few days out, and what went into the decision to fucking fight Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, look, to me, I see a lot of paths to victory in his style, and styles make fights. We all know that. He's lost to guys who are shorter mostly and lighter mostly, and faster than him. I see holes in his game. I see punches that I can land.
Is Joshua training with Usyk's camp the game changer Paul didn't anticipate, or does Paul's confidence and unorthodox style give him a real chance to pull off an upset? Share your thoughts in the comments below.